Hello, welcome to the Redmen TV. It's the first proper final word show of the brand new Premier League season. Liverpool beat Southampton 2-1.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did. I have with me in the studio Chris Pajak, Jack Hart, and the returning Jay Riley. Welcome if you're a newcomer to Redmen TV. We've decided this week is going to be Freeview week, which proves two things. A, we're not afraid to try new things, and B, we're also not afraid to rip ideas off Sky. We've decided to put the content out to let a bit of a wider audience, see what we do behind the paywall. So if you like it, go on to redmentv.com and subscribe. It's free for a month. Yada, yada. If you're a subscriber already, we love you. We still love you. You're our favourites. Back to normal next week. Anyway, Chris, has there ever been a more stressful opening day experience than that?
I can literally remember about 36 hours at a time, so definitely not for me.
No.
Amazing.
Jack, it was. We were discussing it in all the match reaction content that, I mean, I think it took 6 years or 6 months off the end of my life that it was so stressful. It was as stressful as the games when it genuinely mattered. You know, we were on a title charge, but it was the first game of the season.
Thinking about earlier seasons, we've had lacklustre starts and defeats and whatnot, but I think because of how last season played out and everything that's happened since New Year, pretty much the stakes were so high that it was just unbelievably stressful. Just delighted to have come through it really in the end there.
Yeah, how did you cope, Jay? Because I was like, my heart was pounding at my chest when Mignolet made that save from Schneiderlin. Ridiculous.
To be honest, I think we all thought Liverpool would win comfortably, didn't we? But it just doesn't work that way, does it? Not with Liverpool anyway. The back end of last season told us that, but it's good to get the 3 points, isn't it? I mean, ultimately we never played very well, did we? But all that counts is the 3 points, and we got it.
I think one of the things for me was that because we came so close last season, and everybody I think knows that this season is going to be really tight at the top. There's 6 or 7 teams that have got the potential to win the league. It matters from fucking day one.
Yeah.
And especially, was it 2009 where we finished second, and then 2010 we were out of it with the 3 games gone.
Spurs the opening day, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it's like, it's so fucking important, and that's why it was so nervous in Anfield, because everyone's looking around going, we've got to win here, we have to win.
Yeah.
And we did, and that's the fucking main thing, but it was not a nice atmosphere for the first game of the season.
No, you're completely right. I think that's exactly the fear that you're talking about there, because we've seen it the 2 times in recent, in our sort of football supporting sort of careers, as it were, we came second. We either made too many sweeping changes in the summer, or we didn't get we didn't get a good start or whatever, and we fucked it up. When we were on what looked like we were on the verge of cracking it and finally either getting a league title or making sure that we were right up there challenging season in, season out. And obviously going back to like 2002, wasn't it, Jay, when we Ulier made some mental decisions in the transfer market in the summer, and then obviously going back to Chris says 2009. Does that feel that's at the back of all Liverpool fans' minds, isn't it?
Listen, we've just sold Luis Suarez, who's fantastic, isn't he? So it was always going to be tough. You got to look back to like last season. We only had 12 or 13 players who you could have called upon. You could rely on them. The rest of them weren't good enough. Now,
we had more players than that, but important points.
We could rely upon. Ultimately now we needed a bigger squad, so we always had to sign more players, and we've signed 8 or 9 players, is it? So it's a lot, and Spurs done the same last year, didn't he, when they lost Gareth Bale? But the difference with Liverpool, I think, Brendan Rodgers has got a philosophy, hasn't he? Where also we sign players from this country as well, 3 of them play for Southampton. So from that point of view, I think it's a little bit easier for them to settle in. With Tottenham, they signed a lot of players from abroad, didn't he? So they didn't know the league. So
it looked to me like they kind of Spurs. It looked to me, Jack, kind of like they went, who's available, who we can get for decent money. Whereas, as Jay sort of alludes to there, Brendan Rodgers looks like he's got a philosophy. He's got players he wants to fit into that, and we've said it all summer. He's talked about the mentality of these players. It looks like we've been far more selective in our approach in the summer.
I feel like, compared to Spurs 12 months ago, we started the summer from a slightly higher platform as well. If you factor in I know Bale didn't leave till very late on, did he? But if you imagine those were done already, I think the base we've got stronger than what they had. We talked last week, didn't we, a bit about the pressure upon those new players, and because of the form or what we're expecting from Coutinho and Sterling, it's negates that a little bit, and it gives those players a bit of leeway in terms of working their way into the team. So it feels almost as though we've made a lot of changes, but we've been able to do it sensibly and not disrupt the team too much.
Yeah.
We've really boosted the squad. We spoke about it earlier in the summer, when in the past it's felt like we've been having to replace players and having to replace players who've gone, or players who aren't good enough, and put a man in their position. But now I feel like we're genuinely just strengthening the whole group.
Well, that's the feeling. I think we talked about this last week, didn't we? Because no player started that game for Liverpool who had to make an impact. No one was carrying the burden of the price tag on the shoulders. Might have been different if Lallana had been fit, and arguably Markovic. But then in some ways, maybe as Jackson, maybe it sort of played into our hands a little.
Well, that's it. Yeah, I think you're right there. I think if Markovic had started, there would have been big pressure on him with the price tag and stuff. And for some reason, we discussed it last week. If Lambert would have started for a £4 million signing, he's probably got the most pressure out of all the new signings, which is completely fucking random, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean? £4 million and he's got all the pressure of the fans. Manquilo's a kid, isn't he? 19 years old. We wanted to see flashes from Manquillo, and I think we saw that. It was and as Jack said there, I think the important thing is we've signed first team quality players, but they don't necessarily have to get into the first team. And this is the first season as a Liverpool fan I think we've done that. Yeah. We've normally replaced like for like, someone's left and we need someone in the team, or we've strengthened our squad like under Benitez with shite. Yeah. Basically, with just absolute filler.
You're talking about Andre Varane.
Yeah. Well, during those Benitez years, Rafa was forever chasing his tail, so to speak, in the transfer market, wasn't he? And we were just always upgrading or replacing, and it feels like things have moved this summer. Things have changed.
This feels to me, I mean, we've got a long season ahead of us, but right now, going into the new campaign, I actually think that there's a question of potential. This could be the strongest, almost the strongest squad I think we've had, because I think what Jack says there, you think back to like Benitez, for every Fernando Torres and Steven Gerrard, there was a Nabil Alzar or a Nathan Eccleston who was making up the numbers, whereas it doesn't feel as much like that under Brendan Rodgers.
We have got a very good squad, there's no doubt about that, but we are short up front still, aren't we? Yeah. You just said before... You've got Brady starting. You said before about Lambert, didn't you? Well, it's nailed on, isn't it? Because my problem with Liverpool at the moment is, from an attack and midfield point of view, it's great, Lallana, Markovic, Coutinho, Sterling, even Jordan Hard to an extent. But what you've got to realise is if Sturridge, he's injury prone. Now, if he could stay fit for a whole season like what Suarez used to do, then fine. But the problem is, we all know he carries little niggles, he has little injuries here and there. So if he was to get injured, you're looking at Ricky Lambert. Now, nothing against Ricky at all. He's been brought into Liverpool to do a job effectively. He's sort of like taking over from Aspas, and as the backup, he's never really going to start many games. But if Sturridge got injured, I know it's all hypothetical because he's not injured yet, but if he did get injured, we've only got Ricky Lambert to turn to. Now, look, he did do very well for Southampton, and all the stats suggest, his assists, his goals and all that, but what you've got to realise is he's playing in a different team now where we're a lot quicker than what Southampton were. The likes of Lallana and Jay Rodriguez didn't have the pace of Coutinho and Sterling and the quick-mindedness, really. Obviously, when Lallana's in the team, it's different because he's been used to playing with him. But what you've got to think of is, I think at this moment in time, every time you watch him, the game's passing him by. He just seems to be a little bit off the pace, and he'll admit himself he's probably trying too hard, and also it's the burden of being at the club that he loves that. He started his career out and he got rejected. We
haven't really got the system doesn't really suit him as such either, really, does it? You know what I mean? I think we were saying this the week, maybe, because, we saw it in pre-season, people clipping balls over the top. If I had Ricky Lambert, you just stand there with your hands on your hips.
What the fuck was it supposed to be?
What's that all about, lad? You know what I mean? Seriously.
It's like plan B, and look at last season, the prime example was the Chelsea game for me. That game, the amount of balls we pumped into the boxes, we were chasing the game, we needed to get at least a point to keep the title hopes alive. And the balls we threw into the box, there was no one there to get on the end of it, because that's not the way Liverpool play. If Ricky Lambert was a Liverpool player last season, arguably he could have got on the end of one of them. Yeah. And that's just the extra option he gives. But we saw it
at the end of the game.
Well, we did. He had a massive impact on that goal.
Massive impact, and yet no impact. It's a weird one, isn't it?
Handball in the build-up to it, by the way.
Handball right by me, that was as well.
Tell the ref.
But yeah, we changed our approach. We were able to go more direct, and I don't want to see it be like we were with Peter Crouch, because like Jamie Carragher, he thought all his Christmases had come at once when we signed Peter Crouch, didn't he?
Just too easy.
Just lump the ball down the pitch. It sticks to Crouch. He looks like a legend because he's managed to break the pressure down. But it gives us that extra dimension. And although Lambert didn't get the assist or didn't get the goal, just the fact that he enables us to change the way we play did put them under more pressure.
That's it. The defenders have got something extra to think about because they've got two up top first and foremost. We had Sterling playing in behind them at the time, didn't we? At the top of the diamond, sorry. So just from 20 minutes ago, the way we've attacked has fundamentally changed. Their defenders have to now think about where are our attackers, where's Ricky Lambert, instead of where's Sturridge drifting to now, type of thing, and that just put pressure on them. And Ricky Lambert basically going in and backing into them was just gave them something to think about. And then because of that, Sterling got free in the box to head the ball, and Sturridge got on the end of it.
Yeah, definitely.
I think he'll really come into his own as well when we've got more of a patient setup on the pitch. You know, games when we've got Joe Allen in, we're moving the ball forwards a bit slower, and we've got the time to get the players around him rather than just everyone bolting up the pitch like we saw all last year.
We'll see this. Our tactics will adapt as the season goes on, because you can already see the way we set up there. I can't see it being exactly the same as that again. You know, basically two holding mids at home. You can't see that happening. What's the word? He sort of adapted things as he went on. The system evolved over time, over the last 2 years, and you can see a time in this season where we find a way to make what we've got work in the best possible way.
It's almost like Rodgers doesn't actually want a formation. He just wants good players on the pitch.
He says it himself, doesn't he? He always says people talk too much about formations. It's not what Brendan Rodgers brings is not a formation. It's a style of play. It's an ethos. It's a way you go about. It's a way you play your football, and that works just as well with three at the back or two up top or whatever. Theoretically, anyway, that is the idea.
It was a strange inclusion, though, wasn't it, Lucas?
Yes.
I mean, I got wind of that on the Saturday night, and I thought, there's no way Lucas was playing, because you would have thought, well, if Emre Can's not quite ready, or he didn't want to try him in the Premier League's different to pre-season, you'd have thought, well, Joe Allen would have played. So it was a surprise that Lucas played, and to be fair, you know, I'm not getting on the lad's back, but I thought he was awful as well, and you know, he was part of the reason why we struggled in midfield, especially in the second half. So
it's a weird one with Lucas for me, because I get exactly what you're saying there. Is that I like Lucas. I want him to be a successful Liverpool player. I feel sorry for the fact that the injury seems to have hampered him, but I dislike the way that some people blindly think he's shit. You know what I mean? Like he had a couple of decent moments in that game. There was one where he won the ball back in their half just by coming up, getting the ball and kept it going. But you're right, it was do a few and far between. When we talked about it, I think we pretty much predicted Lucas was going to be in there based only on Dortmund, because he was the guy who came on for them, wasn't he? So, but you're right.
Joe Allen changed the game.
Joe Allen did change the game. The Lucas inclusion to me, because trying to find a way to justify it, the only way I can see it is that the fact that Allen didn't start probably says a lot about how well Lucas had been performing, maybe in training or something, because Allen was the logical inclusion.
I don't know. I mean, I've not seen enough of Lucas to say that he can play with Gerrard over years. You know what I mean? I know that I think that Joe Allen can play with Steven Gerrard, and Gerrard and Lucas they just make the same runs. Lucas's tracking was awful. I mean, basically the first goal was pretty much his fault, wasn't it? You know, it was Klein went through and he was supposed to track him and didn't. And now Skirtle tried his best to get across and cover that, but he was just lazy. He didn't have a clue who was running at him and from where. He didn't even look around.
But he also gave the ball away as well when it was, I think we might have been 2-1 up actually in his last 10 minutes. And he gave the ball away in a dangerous area and put us under pressure as well. And it was a simple pass, which is normally what he's decent at, you know, like just popping it off simple. And he gave the ball away and it put us under pressure. And this is the thing. For me, Lucas is not suited to the way Liverpool play under Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah, no.
So I think he'd be suitable if he was the only one there. In Gerrard's absence, I'm more than happy for him to be there. But I think putting them together, every time he gets the ball, he's just going to defer to Gerrard because he's not got the same range, and there's just no point having him stood next to him.
Well, look at Spurs last season. Spurs away in December, and it was Lucas holding mid with Henderson and Allen.
Stevie wasn't injured,
and that looked terrific. It looked a terrific midfield. But you're right, you just can't have. I mean, look, we're talking about Lucas, but I thought Gerrard was poor as well. I don't know what Gerrard was supposed to be bringing big time. You know, supposedly coming back in. You know, he's had his holiday. I know he played in the World Cup, but not for long. You know, so it's not like he's got to the. Yeah, it's not like City and all that struggling to get the players back in.
I think with Stevie, I think last 20 minutes he really tried to step up. and he tried to set the pace of the game. We talked about it on the way home, didn't we?
Yeah.
He tried, he didn't quite get there. I think the thing with him is he looked nervous yesterday. You know, there was that time where he nearly slipped over, wasn't there, during the game, and he like, fucking hell, just even don't. do not fucking do this now. I can't be dealing with this shit again. But it looks like he's got the weight of that still on his back from last season, yeah. And I think
really, to be fair.
he's just going to need a few games and then he'll forget about that. So,
but
there are people calling for him to be dropped already.
But I think people are entitled to make that call. I think it depends.
I think it's too soon, man. We've lost Suarez, who took a lot of set pieces for us. Steven Gerrard's going to take a lot of set pieces this season because of that, and I think that's a big reason that he's included in the side.
But again, look at the complete and utter lack of shielding for the back four. If Steven Gerrard's going to play in that position, it's all well and good him taking free kicks and spraying 40-yard passes. But if you've got their midfield free running at your back four, which Southampton did time and time again in that game, it was terrifying. We just needed to control the game, and the players running at the back four, and it's like, just fucking somebody boot them and there's no one there, and it's exactly the same as last season.
But last season we had sort of 3 centre midfielders. Let's say there was times last season where we played Allen and Henderson and Gerrard. Now Henderson played in a completely different position yesterday as he did last season. With those 3 midfielders, we were closing teams down a lot more. You know, there's basically 3 people there doing that job, whereas it was just Lucas and Gerrard.
I'm not even sure that's as much the case. It was the same as we did the same last season. That we had no shielding for the back four. Steven Gerrard is not a defensive midfielder. You know
he's a deep line playmaker.
Exactly.
And that's his job.
But the point is that that's where his liabilities lie. Is for all that he brings to us. I still think bring Dejan Lovren in, and we'll come to him in a minute. Great game. I thought the individual defensive players looked a lot better than last season. But again, there's no protection for them, and that's got to be Steven Gerrard's job if he's going to play in that position.
We're saying very similar things to what we were saying 9, 10, 11 months ago when, I think, if I remember correctly, we were basically saying it's not a position you want to complicate, so having 2 in there, the players then question whose responsibility a particular scenario is. If you just got the one in there, that man knows his job. The ball's coming towards him, or there's men coming towards, then that's me, you know. And maybe there's a degree of that you know, you're better off with 1 in there having all the workload rather than 2, and maybe not communicating properly, not taking that job on.
I think the other thing is that I don't think there's a midfielder at the club who can do that, because I don't think Lucas can do it on his own.
Well, I think
Lucas is better doing it on his own than he is with another person, but I don't think he's good enough to protect that back four.
I think he's a better defensive midfielder than Gerrard, but again, it's just we don't have a perfect solution at the club at the moment. I think people talk about Emre Can as a long term, that could well be his position for Liverpool, but it's not like he even played there in pre-season.
He's quite box to box, I think, Emre Can. And what you've seen of him in pre-season, he doesn't suggest to me as though he's like very, very defensive. Anyway, I think he can do it.
Yeah, and they were all going on about left back, playing centre back, and we were all thinking, great, this destroyer's going to come in, and then we see him bombing down the wing past Markovic.
Fuck off, lad, I'm off.
And I do think he looks a player, doesn't he? But I think Rodgers was just a little bit cautious with him, because against Dortmund it seemed that he had a little bit of a knock to me, and he went off at half time. And maybe, I know people might say, well, if he's got a knock, why was he on the bench? But I think it was just because it's Premier League, it's totally different, isn't it, to pre-season games, and he just didn't want to test him.
Yeah. He got told off by one of the coaches, Chan, actually, on the sidelines. It was about 5 minutes ago, and he was supposed to be warming up, and he was basically just stood there watching the game, didn't do any warming up whatsoever, and the fucking coach was going mental, like, fucking Chan, fucking run! And he's just watching the game like for about 5 minutes. This was going on, and then he saw him and he's like, sorry boss, fucking jumped down the fucking sideline. It was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I just to go back that, look, let me clarify, I don't think this is like this game is the end of Steven Gerrard, because we've said this time and time again. The point is, I think that what I'm trying to say is he's not above criticism, and he can't be, because I think the days of like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, we'd have sat around here and Gerrard had an off game, we'd have said he's had a fucking shit game, and people would go, can't say that about Gerrard. Can't look at all the stuff he's done for this club, and but this is the point. He's done all this, but you know, I think there's going to come a point, and it's probably going to be this season, and it should be no surprise that Steven Gerrard has bad games, you know what I mean, or doesn't reach a level, because he's 34 years old. He's in the last, you know, of the final swan song of his career. it's you know, surely it's to be expected to a certain
Well, look,
extent.
you know, as I say, he's 34 years old. He takes a while to warm up. His muscles are just getting going. Give him 4 or 5 games and he'll be flying again, mate. Don't worry about him.
Yeah.
At some point as well, as you say, whether it's this season or next, for an opposition midfield like yesterday, who've got control of that position, having Steven Gerrard come on with 25 minutes left is going to, you know, make them stop and think about what they're facing and, you know, get them on the back foot a little bit, particularly if we're using him more wisely and he's fitter and so on. You know, that could be a big thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, hopefully it's just like that. I mean, it was I didn't think we'd ever see us back at two old mids again. I thought that was...
Especially at home.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that was
someone
kind
like Southampton as well, really.
But my thinking on this, Jerry, something me and Chris were chatting about, is that Southampton have been such a bogey team for us, and they were a real unknown quantity.
The team, no?
Well, exactly. but as a result, they're an unknown quantity as well. Like, you know, so
we got in the middle of the park, though.
Yeah.
Wanyama and Schneiderlin were very, very good yesterday, and they're solid in midfield. And if you look at it, they still had Davis as well, so they had 3 players who were still there last season. The only player they lost from the midfield area really was Lallana, wasn't it? Who we've got obviously injured.
Because they even used Ward-Prowse a lot last year, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
So
last season.
And he looked a player, he was very good, and so was that new fella Tadic, who
was
set the
quality.
first goal up. He looked quality as well, and obviously they nearly had another goal, didn't he? They tried it a second time with Klein. But they were very strong in midfield, and I thought they won the midfield battle really against us. We struggled, didn't we?
I think the thing about Southampton, I think the way we set up, as you say, they've been Liverpool's bogey, they've been Brendan Rodgers, the Liverpool bogey team, certainly. They were unknown quantity to a certain extent of what they were going to bring because of the amount of new signings they've had to make. And it was, I wonder whether we kind of, I don't know, I said maybe we played a little bit within ourselves in that game to a certain extent. Because I said to you, we didn't press like we normally press. And but it was evident to me because some of the times when we did press, they passed it round us, and that was when some of their most dangerous moments came. There's a couple of moments like, and this is, we will talk about Manquillo again in a sec, but a couple of times he rushed to go and press, and they literally just played a little triangle around him, and he ended up caught out of position. And you can see that's the danger of a side like that. You know, they're a good passing team. You play it's classic football manager tactics. If you're over press against a good passing side, that's what good passing sides are trained to do, isn't it? Is to handle that kind of situation.
Well, there's still clearly a well-drilled side for working under Pochettino. I don't know how much of that's come from Koeman, I'm not too sure, but they pressed really well. I think they set up really well in that they had a high defensive line, and the defensive midfielders looked after Coutinho really, really well. I think they did a number on Coutinho.
They did, yeah, definitely.
And as you say, Paul, they are very good at passing, very comfortable in possession, and I think that's why Rodgers had us just step back a little bit and not get too involved with them in that. And I was just impressed the fact that the Southampton crowd got behind Southampton after they scored, and I wasn't sure whether we'd get a winner after that. It didn't look like that, and we sort of turned the tide a little bit there, and I was actually impressed. It shows a bit of character that we've got on the side still.
Yeah, definitely. Just on the first half, it wasn't a great first half performance from Liverpool at all, but it was a great first goal.
Oh, absolutely outstanding. Jordan Henderson. I declared my love for him last night, even though it had but what a ball. Slide reel ball right through the centre. Oh, fantastic.
Left-footed as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
You just fear that at some point
what a
this
player.
season you're going to wake up with a fucking hangover and a fucking I Heart Hendo tattoo on your back somewhere, like
they open
on a butt cheek, like.
I'm still alright.
It was a great finish though by Sterling, wasn't it? Let's be honest, just cool as you like. But we didn't play very well in the first half, even though we were the better team. Second half was mainly Southampton, but in the first half Liverpool were the better team, but we still didn't play very well, did we? It was like a rusty start, but a little bit disjointed, especially after the Dortmund game the week before. Everyone just thought, well, this is
more of that, please.
We're ready here, aren't we? But we obviously weren't ready, and I think it might take a couple of weeks for us to bed in properly, with a couple of new players coming in, which is a little bit of a concern because we've got 2 massive away games coming up now, but yeah, I think we'll be alright.
Fingers crossed.
For Henderson, the winning the ball and then playing that pass, like I was saying last week about him looking like a man who's ready to take charge in the midfield. I mean, I'm not saying he did that for 90 minutes by any stretch yesterday, but just in that moment of play, that was that player coming out. I think he just wanted to own everything that was going on, win that ball, play it through, score a goal.
Future captain for me.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's got future captain written all over him. No, I loved it because I think I said it in the match reaction as well. He gets all the criticism of Hendo's it's all just his industry, as if that's all he does. All he does is work hard. But he showed that, and it's what we've been talking about. We've talked about this all last season, that he's due to have a breakout at some point during Henderson. When he goes from being like us thinking he's really good to like the rest of the Premier League to stand up to, taking notice and going like, oh fucking hell, he's actually fucking decent. Like Aaron Ramsey last season as an example. And that assist for me was Henderson all over, because we know he's got that quality. He's got a fantastic range of passing. He's actually got, and as well, like in further up the pitch, he's got a great shot on him as well. And just to see him do the industry bit that we know everybody knows he can do and everyone's quite dismissive of, to do it brilliantly, and then to have the sort of the goal to sort of step up and play like with
that
his
is not an
foot.
easy pass.
It's not an easy pass. It's no, to say the very, very least. This is not an easy pass. No, the only way it could have been more difficult is if he tried to like slice it in with his cock. That was like, as far as like we did 70s go, like that was like the second toughest one he hit it with. Even
the fact he was looking to play that pass after winning the challenge and regaining his balance. Hitting that early is impressive.
Single-minded
other
vision
players
there.
might have been taking a touch and then lifting their head up, but he was straight onto it.
But I know
you've got to give Sturridge credit for that as well, because he was dragging those players out. Because what he does at the top of that, that's what he does, and that's why it's so important when we are playing just Sturridge up top on his own, that we do have people who can run in behind, like Sterling, like Henderson, like Coutinho. Because when he does drift, and it's normally to the right, isn't it? That's when they've got to go. If they see Sturridge going over to the side, they've got to fucking go. And Sterling does that better than anyone on the side of the moment.
Yeah, right now.
What a finish as well.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Watching it from the television angles, it looked like it was such an angle. I just thought it was going wide, that, and it just nestled.
I must admit, I didn't celebrate that one until I saw the net rustle, because I was stood like basically an angle to it in the cop, like, and it was P-rolled essentially. What it was. I think the cop actually did literally suck that one in, like.
You felt some down on your left getting excited, and that was the good sign.
Yeah, but it was a touch of class, because we've seen how many people get into those positions for Liverpool, and football in general over the years. For Liverpool, I'm thinking Emil Heskey, who just would have got in that position and just hit it as hard as he possibly could in the general direction of the goal, and just to be able there to just clips it. That is the inner FIFA Pro Evo player, and that's a controlled finish.
Definitely.
He's got R2 pressed down there. Like.
the only thing I will say about Henderson, we all love him. We're in agreement, aren't we? He's a great player.
But
he needs to score a few more goals.
Yeah, he does.
The way you were saying about the comparison with Ramsey just scores loads of goals now, and he just looks amazing, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And the thing with Henderson, I know he scored a few last year. I think he scored 2 in the game against Swansea at home, didn't he? But he didn't score many goals, and he needs to score about 10 this season for me.
Yeah, set pieces as well. He steps up for a few free kicks for, he did it for the under-21s, didn't he, for all those years?
He's done it pre-season, he's taken a couple, hasn't he? I don't think he's cleared a wall yet.
No, that's the thing, and he's
got his Ronaldo stance down though.
He does have it though.
Just that.
And he needs to start doing what he's presumably doing in training and convert that to the pitch with the set pieces now.
Yeah. But I noticed actually right from the off, and he had a shot blocked very, very early on, and it was like 30 yards from goal, 25, 30 yards from goal. He turned, and I wasn't even expecting him to have a go, but clearly he's decided, I'm going to stick this in the top bin, and he just gets to have a little turn, and it gets blocked, but I thought like it was actually quite telling that he would have that mentality, because it seemed a bit like mental. It didn't seem very un-Liverpool like, you know what I mean, because we're used to stroking it round and creating opportunities and whatever. To have someone like in the midfield just turn around and belt one in, we haven't seen enough of that really, have we? So John
since Gerrard forgot how to shoot.
I forgot. I thought that was interesting. I noticed on the tour actually, just a couple of times watching training, that Gerrard actually seemed to be. I mean, he probably does it in training at Melwood every single day, but obviously I noticed it from being there, sort of seeing it firsthand, that he was practicing his shooting a lot more, and it's something because we just don't see Stevie shoot. It's clearly been a conscious decision, I think, from his part in the last few seasons not to. Maybe it's a groin thing, or maybe
apart from the Chelsea game when he had about 25 shots
and realised that he couldn't.
Trying to make up for
that's probably why he's been practicing in pre-season, isn't it? In fairness,
I wouldn't doubt it, like, because I think I honestly think the reason he stopped shooting with power, because you see his players get older, that goes. You know what I mean? And it become an injury risk to
Well, every
yourself,
time I
like.
kick the ball hard, I seem to do something fucking in my leg, like, piss annoying.
Yeah.
I have to sign for everything now.
Yeah. Well, this is it. Like,
I'm only 31.
Yeah, like
5-a-side, sign for 5-a-side.
Yeah, look like the Xabi Alonso of 5-a-side. But you know, I think Steven Gerrard's been practicing because you could see in that Chelsea game, the muscle memory gone. It's been that long since he stuck one in the just, you know,
Put his
belted
foot
one
through
in.
it properly.
Yeah, no, and hopefully he's working on it. Anyway, just a little side note. Coutinho, we just touched on him earlier because he didn't get into the game at all.
No, he didn't. I think, I said that on one of the match reaction shows. That
One of the 70 we do now.
Yeah, there's a lot of match reaction shows going on. I've heard my voice a lot today, to be honest with you. I've been editing myself for hours. But I think...
After the fact,
Yeah.
not before the fact. Which is something that definitely needs working on there. Yeah.
I think one of the things that Coutinho's going to struggle with this season, especially early on in the season, is that last season we had Suarez who'd take a lot of heat from defenders and defensive midfielders, wouldn't we? And Coutinho's he's going to be earmarked because Rodgers come out pre-season and said that he's the brains of the operation, didn't he? I think Southampton looked at him and go, if we can stop Coutinho, we can pretty much stop most of Liverpool's attack on play.
I noticed something, about Coutinho. He looked a bit lightweight. He's a bit, and I want let's take it scout. He looked a bit of a shithouse, to be honest. At times, like there was a couple of times where he got into 50-50s, and I've seen and if you didn't know Coutinho, you'd expect that from him. But I've seen him last season. I saw him. I've seen him go up against lads twice his size.
Remember him going against Wilshere? No, he's not twice his size.
Definitely
but
not twice his size.
And Zonzi was the one on the opening day.
Yeah.
He squared up to
I've
him.
seen him square up
He's
to
literally twice the size.
proper groks and get stuck into things that you wouldn't expect to by stature.
It's not his style, though, is it? To be fair,
But it seems to be absent from his game where we know he can do it.
He can, but I just think it's weird with Coutinho because last pre-season he was great, and then most of last season he was a little bit ineffective at times. He was like inconsistent.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's a genius, he's like a little magician, but he's too inconsistent for me. And again, this pre-season, him and Sterling were like, it was literally like football porn at times, wasn't it? But pre-season means absolutely fuck all. And when it comes to the proper games, he struggled, didn't he? He did struggle on Sunday. Like.
He struggled. I mean, that midfield shackled him so well, didn't they?
He done a number on him, didn't he?
We were saying earlier on, if that had been against that United midfield, that would have been different, because United's midfield against Swansea were, playing 50 yards out of the defence. It made no sense at all. So hopefully there'll be days like that when he's got loads of space to work with. But I've always thought with Coutinho that when we're up against teams who've got a really good, solid defensive midfield, there's a case for, in that case, dragging him out wide and having him in a wider position and probing from the space that's there. Because
does well from the left-hand side, doesn't he?
It's flow can. He's just he's a bit of a luxury player, isn't he?
I don't think anyone's going to put him there in their their first 11 against Team X, but I think there's a case to be made for him going out there.
I think looking at it, because I think a lot of it goes into the pressing side of things, which I think we didn't press enough from the front. But I wonder, and I've got a slight suspicion about the start of the season, because someone asked me a couple of weeks ago how we thought we were going to start the season, and I said I think we'll start very similar to last season. I think we'll probably win games by the odd goal. We'll try to be quite compact and whatever. And then we played Dortmund and battered them, and I was like, nah, fuck it. We're just gonna go out. We're gonna steamroll the Premier League from day one. We're gonna just batter everyone, knock everyone asunder on the way to the title. So when we played like that, I was a bit like, oh, that's a bit disappointing.
It's pragmatic though, isn't it?
But exactly, and I think again, because I've seen a lot of the press are very keen to be like underwhelming Liverpool and stuttering Liverpool and
it's different to what Arsenal done against Crystal Palace though, wasn't it? No. In fact, they left it even later than us, injury time winner.
Yeah.
So, let's be honest, who's better, Southampton or Crystal Palace? They're similar, aren't they? Much of a muchness really. They're probably better, aren't they? So for them to slate Liverpool and talk Arsenal up as they're going to be title contenders this year, why? Because they exactly the same scoreline as Liverpool, left it late and later than Liverpool, do you know what I mean? And they struggled even more than we did at times.
Not just Arsenal either, nobody particularly impressed.
No.
Yeah. And I think that's it. I think when you look at the likes of Coutinho, and because you were saying about this moving around positions and stuff, I think we saw a little glimpse of it in pre-season, Dortmund being a great example of how fluid the team was, whereas I think what Brendan Rodgers looks like he might have kind of done, because we said that this first 5 games of the season, it's vital that we get as many points as we possibly can, just to keep the fans on side, to keep us in and around the top 4 questions going into the into the start of the Champions League. Maybe we are being a bit more rigid just to get that sort of
solid base.
Yeah, the solid base under us as building blocks and launch pads, whatever whatever cliche you want. So we'll probably, hopefully, we'll see it kind of like we've done the last 2 seasons under Rodgers, that we just get through this first opening chunk of the campaign and then we can start to play.
2 years ago.
Well, no, but you know what I mean is we got to Christmas and then we turned it on, didn't we? And I know a lot of that was to do with the signing of Sturridge and having actual strikers to rotate for a change. But hopefully we'll have to wait till Christmas before we turn it on this year. But you know, I can see a case to be made that we've just not gone all guns blazing, almost deliberately to a certain extent.
I hope that's the reason.
I really hope that's the reason. Chris, I'm going to come to you on this one because we know you're like
John Glenson, isn't it?
It's Glen Johnson or John Glenson.
It was definitely a case of John Glenson again yesterday, wasn't it? And for all those people who've given me stick on the match reaction, I said that on purpose. Yeah. Because it's basically the fucking running joke is that John Glenson comes in and it's Glen Johnson's evil non-footballing twin, isn't he? And who has...
He's the fella who looks exactly like Glen Johnson that's come in. He can't play football. He's kidnapped Glen Johnson and he's been wearing the Liverpool shirt and playing at fullback for Liverpool for the last 18 months.
I didn't win a single tackle yesterday. Fucking useless.
Yeah.
It's just... It's so difficult because I'm so torn because I can remember the time and it wasn't that long ago, 2 years ago, he was our best player for like 6 months of the season. Yeah. And I think it's more just frustration with him than anything else. It's like, Glenn, I know you can fucking do better than this, man. Yeah. What the fuck are you playing at?
But at what point does it become like Chelsea and Torres, where, you know, now it's like, when he has a good game, it's not that he's back, it's just that it's a freak. It's a freak occurrence, you know what I mean? That's not actually his level. That's, when does it stop being poor form and does it actually become your level? Anyone?
I think, Jay, you were saying it before the game, I think he's done.
You know what?
Whoa.
Listen, when Liverpool signed him, I wasn't a massive fan of him anyway, because he's not the type of... He was like an attacking fullback, wasn't he? And when I got told we were signing for 17 million or whatever it was, I couldn't believe it, because it was like 5 or 6 years ago now, which was a lot of money back then, wasn't it? Huge. And the thing what I've always...
It was Danny Alves money, that one.
Well, he would have been cheaper, probably, wouldn't he? Because he's English, so you end up paying a premium, don't you? But my problem with Glen Johnson, I don't think he's ever been the best defender in the world, but he's always been pretty good going forward. But now, the last couple of years, 18 months or so, I think he's lost a yard of pace as well. So when he does go forward, he's got fucking no chance of getting back, so if he's got no one covering him, it puts us under pressure. Even back in the days when Carragher was still playing for us, I used to always think he put Carragher under pressure, because he had to cover him if he was the right-sided centre-half. Because Glen Johnson would go forward and he wouldn't get fucking back. Honest to God, he just winds me up. The one thing about Glen Johnson, he used to give balance to the team, and now he gives us absolutely nothing but problems for me.
Even going forward, he's so predictable, isn't he? He just slows it down and cuts in, and there's not a great deal more to it, really, is there? Going forward.
What I thought was quite interesting, obviously I sit right behind the subs bench, actually seeing Rodgers getting really pissed off with him.
Really?
Massively pissed off. Like, I mean, a few times during the game, Rodgers turns around when he's lost the ball. For fuck's sakes, what's he fucking playing at, like? And there was probably 4 occasions where I saw that yesterday. So, Rodgers is onto it.
So maybe, well, good, maybe finally.
Well, he's been a long time.
He's seen enough of him, hasn't he? He must be like a worldie in training. I mean, it's the only reason I can...
Going back to what we were saying before, though, we said, didn't we, off camera, like, we were talking, saying, if you looked at, like, Michael Owen when he was about 28, you knew he was finished. And maybe it's the same case with Glen Johnson, maybe he is finished.
Well, yeah,
he's 30, or he's approaching 30.
There's only so many times you can really, in your career, that you can run up the pitch and not back. And he's done it. He's done it fucking millions of times.
He's into his last year anyway, so...
Well, mate, is it a case of maybe Brendan Rodgers has given him enough length of rope to hang himself in these last few weeks? And
surely, though, you think with his last year, being in his last year, he wants one more payoff. They always do. Yeah. So they normally step up. Xabi Alonso did it.
Okay, well,
he stepped up in that last year, didn't he?
Yeah, but he was in his prime, and Real Madrid wanted him. Basically, like, you know what I mean?
You know QPR though. You know that Isla, the right back they signed.
Yeah.
Is he on loan or did they sign him?
I think he's on loan, isn't he?
If he's only on loan, then Uncle Harry, he might take Glen in the summer, mate.
He's a proper QPR player now.
You give him decent wedge like he's given Rio Ferdinand.
Ridiculous money for to be piss poor at a fucking club that has ambitions only to harbour fucking players on the way out. Like, yeah.
Maybe that was him playing out of his skin. Maybe his downward trajectory was such that was actually him playing at 150%.
Well, this is what I'm saying. That's just is that now his level, isn't it? You know, that's the big worry for Glen Johnson. Here's a question, because we I think we'd all come to the conclusion that you can't really sell too many senior players because we end up back in the Gerrard problem. You throw in too much experience.
United have got that problem now, haven't they?
Yeah.
Ferdinand, Vidic and Everett.
But let's look at a hypothetical situation. We've got Javi Manquillo in now. We've got Alberto Moreno finally. We'll talk about on the transfer roundup show. Enrique's back, although not fit yet. And obviously when Flano comes back, do we have enough cover there to basically say if someone comes in with a half decent bid for Glen Johnson before the window shuts, sling it up?
Well, I think that if Rodgers thinks we've got enough cover, Flano would have played left back.
Flano's not fit.
Oh shit, of course he is. I fucking
pretty certain.
Completely changed my fucking mind. Glen Johnson can fucking go.
Well, I mean, what about someone comes in with 5 million for Glen Johnson between now and the end of the window, all day long? Yeah. You don't look convinced.
Can I stay on the fence for this one?
No. Pull the splinters out of your arse and give us an answer.
Yeah, I put faith in the players that Rodgers has signed. Then yeah, I'd take the money. I think.
I just don't think anyone will come in with a bid. I think he's on too high wages to fucking go as well.
I think, but the thing is, at the minute, I mean, again, look, it's one game in. You can't make any hard and fast judgments on anyone right now because we've seen so many players turn their careers around in the space of a season under Brendan Rodgers. But at the minute right now, it looks like the senior players at Liverpool are the ones who've got the most, the biggest job on their hands this season if they want to turn it around. Lots of pressure on Steven Gerrard. There's players who can come in and not necessarily do exactly what he can do, but do elements of what he can do. Similarly, you know, they like some of the centre halves as well, and obviously Glen Johnson. I think Glen Johnson's the one right now. He seems to have lost the love of the fans, which never helps.
Well, there's 3 minutes into the game, he's getting booed, man. And he'd not even done anything wrong at that point.
I didn't think he was that bad in the first half, to be fair.
You know, we're talking about those players being under pressure as well. It's easy to package it in a negative way, but the fantastic thing is that those players are now under pressure. You know, we're not wholly reliant on them when we've got the younger players available.
No, it is a good point actually, because I suppose in years gone by we'd have had to stick.
Yeah.
We'd have had to stick with Glen Johnson, but there's a case to be made at Man City next week. Moreno and Manquillo can play the fullback positions if needs be. You can drop Johnson to the bench and see what that does. Because to be fair, he's had no competition at all. He hasn't had competition. He's had competition at neither has he had competition at right back or left back at Liverpool. You know what I mean? He's been our best
for right back.
Yeah, exactly. But for Liverpool, you know, he has been our only genuine Premier League quality fullback. I mean, I know I'm discounting Flanagan in so much as he's had to come in from underneath, hasn't he? But there's been no one there. He hasn't had to fight for his place, and as you say, even more so on the international scene. I said this, I'm certain. It looks less obvious, looks less likely now, but I really thought he basically kept himself injury free last season because he knew he was going to the World Cup. All he had to do was be fit to be on that plane, and he went. And to be honest, did you see his performances improve any? No, because he's garbage. Look, again, as with anything, I hope he does turn it around, but right now the evidence is mounting against him. Okay, Gerrard, Lucas, we seem to be focusing a lot on the negatives, so let's get out the way quickly. Gerrard, Lucas as a pair, and Jack doesn't...
No, we've known this for 10 months, haven't we, and more. But last season we knew that wasn't working. I don't think we'll see it a great deal anyway.
Yeah, I think that seems to be the conclusion, doesn't it? That's probably the last we'll see of them as a team.
It just doesn't work. But the thing is, as we said before, maybe Lucas could come in if Gerrard's unfit, or he's like suspended or something like that. But I wouldn't be playing Lucas at all, maybe, because I just don't think he suits what Rodgers is doing. I just think the setup doesn't suit him one little bit, and it was a massive surprise that he started the game on Sunday. And to be honest, to play them together, I think it's an absolute disaster. Yeah, we
flipped the triangle, and I thought we were never going to look back. Anyway.
Yeah, here we are again. I think it comes back to what you were saying before, Paul, about just being pragmatic and getting the win. Yes, I don't think that's the formation that we'll see. I think the formation will evolve as it did last season, and hopefully it will evolve to exclude those two as a pairing.
I thought earlier on he was going to play in a more advanced position because he got forward and made that crunching challenge, didn't he, on the what I like to call the Subutio line.
The Subutio line, yeah.
And I was quite encouraged by that, really, both in terms of him being confident in himself to do that, and also the fact it looked like we were going to stick with the two more advanced, but then obviously he ended up...
Well, that's it. Against Dortmund, when he came on for Chan, he basically did. Gerrard sort of anchored a bit more, and he played a more advanced role, but we didn't see that. We've done that. Everyone's discussed it. We'll move on. We haven't got a load of time left, but I want to quickly touch on someone that got raved about in the match reactions, pretty much unilaterally. Dejan, Lovren. I was well impressed with him.
Yeah, he looks like a top quality centre back to me. Like, it's the fact that I think Jay picked up on it before. He's a leader. You can see him shouting to the defence, can't you? And for me, he wasn't just shouting at the left backs and he was shouting at Skirtle and stuff, but he brought Skirtle out of it as well a little bit, didn't he? Skirtle was like, hang on a minute, I've been here fucking 5 years, like, and Lovren's talking, and then I never really noticed Skirtle shouting before, but he was doing it a lot more yesterday, and that's like, I don't know whether that's a reaction to having him next to him or something.
Could be. In fact, to be honest, I didn't really notice Skirtle doing this much, but it's noticeable when Lovren does it. He's there. It's this. Yeah. Here's your line. You're left, but everyone here. And I haven't seen, like, since Carragher and Hippier, I haven't seen people doing that kind of thing. I mean, I said, yeah, everyone's making even Rodgers drew the Carragher comparisons, but for me, he feels more like Sammy Hippier. He feels more like just an all-round great centre half.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing with Liverpool, it's vocal. He was very vocal, wasn't he? And you just said there about it. Liverpool haven't had that really, have they? Since Carragher left anyway. Mignolet's a little bit timid as well, isn't he? So, what I noticed from the Dortmund game more than anything else, he was even shouting at Gerrard at certain times as well, which no one says anything to Steven Gerrard.
Everyone stopped and looked at him.
He was doing it, and he's only been at the club for like 2 weeks or something. You can see why Rodgers wanted him, but it is a little bit bizarre, isn't it? Because last year we signed Sako, and he's the same side as Sako, and let's be honest, there's a lot of Liverpool fans who absolutely adore Sako, think he's this big beast, and he comes out dead high on all the stats and all that, and everyone thinks he's great.
You're not convinced is what you're that is, isn't it? Come on.
From my point of view, I'm not convinced by him. I do think he's very good in the air, his positional sense is really good, but whenever he's on the ball, although he's got a great passing accuracy, I just think he's a bag of rags, you know what I mean? I just never feel comfortable with him. I really don't, and he's not, even though he captained France, he hasn't got the leadership skills that Lovren's got. You can just tell straight away, and I know it's only one game and he played a friendly game, but you can tell he's got something about him, do you know what I mean? Which Sako hasn't really got. Don't get me wrong, I don't think Sako's that bad, but I think with Liverpool, we're having the three centre-halves, obviously, like Skirtle's fancied by Rodgers, isn't he? And he's more the right-sided centre-half. Liverpool could argue play the 3 at the back system, because you could have Lovren as your leader, you could have Sako on the left side and Skirtle on the right side. It could happen, because both fullbacks now as well, Manquillo and Moreno, they're attack-minded.
We're going to end up with one at the back here, aren't we? It's going to be Lovren.
No, it's going to be Gerrard.
Yeah.
Spraying balls out like...
Listen, it's like you said before, isn't it? At the end of the day, I don't think Rodgers wants to have a set system. We can have like loads of different systems, because most of the team's interchangeable, isn't it? So I think from that point of view, you might see at times 3 at the back. It can happen. But what you've got to question is the French captain, he left his boyhood club to come to Liverpool, and if he's not getting his game, then he's going to be knocking on the manager's door.
He left PSG for that reason, didn't he? He wasn't getting his game.
I think we'll see on that. Like, I mean, I know I've heard whisperings that Brendan Rodgers doesn't favour Sako, does he? Like,
it's just that he's not convinced by him, what I've been told, because he dives in a little bit too much. Do you know what I mean?
The thing is, for me, because I like what I've seen in Sako. You know, for me, when you watch someone and you go, yeah, player. I know what you mean, but don't worry, he does. He looks overly deliberate in what he does sometimes, whereas you can see with Lovren it looks effortless. You know what I mean? He's got a great little touch.
He's decisive with his passing as well, Lovren, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got a great range of passing. But for me, Sako, sorry Jack, is the Sako that went to the World Cup and played for France in the World Cup is the one I think will come back, will play for Liverpool this season, whereas I think he hadn't settled at us, I don't think, last season. I don't think we saw the best of him, whereas I was surprised by how much better he was for France than what I'd seen him toward the end of the season with Liverpool.
I feel like it's something we've said about Mignolet quite a lot as well, and it must have been hard to settle in that team last year with. It changed so much. You know, there were players in midfield, the shape of the midfield, back 2 or back 3, fullback swapping sides and being injured and out, goalkeeper being new. It would have been difficult for Sako to settle in there, I think. So I think we need to see. I'm looking forward to seeing more of him at some point in a more settled team and seeing how he fits in.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a case as well. Dejan Lovren's he's not left-footed. You know what I mean? He's right. He is right-footed predominantly. Can play both.
Comfortable on both, isn't
exactly.
He?
You know, he could easily move. He could easily shift to the right-hand side of the defence and put Sako on, which is I think the benefits of him to a certain extent.
Just going back a couple of subjects, if you don't mind, because we've been pretty harsh on John Glenson. You know, when you mentioned before the second climb chance, it was a fucking worldie of a tackle by Johnson that stopped that.
To be fair, it was,
Yeah. And again, I think I was probably a little bit, in my match reaction, I was probably a little bit harsh on Manquillo, but another one, I don't think it was that actual attack, but there's another one around that point when he did exactly the same, came in, made it a fantastic last ditch chance. But it's, good, I mean, this is the point, isn't it? And it adds to the frustration with Johnson more than anything else. Rather than being like a saving grace, it just makes you more wound up, because it's not like, if someone was a shit player, and we've had loads of shit players, let's be fair.
Tons
of them. Fucking, particularly at right back. Dejan. Ossory, you know what I mean? Kroenkamp.
Kroenkamp was alright.
Kroenkamp was alright. Like. But the thing is, you know, when you saw them do something boss like that, you were like, wow, like, you know, and you were buoyed by it, because it was like, it came out, it was a surprise. Whereas it's like, it's not a surprise that Glenn Johnson does that, it's an annoyance that he doesn't do it more often. Yeah. Okay, last point then before we wrap up. Players got mixed reviews. You've done a lot more on them on these, Chris. You've seen a lot more of the comments this week. Mignolet, there's people saying like, you know, he's a bag of nerves and they don't like him, they don't feel confident with him. I saw you made some comment that ended up with you talking about Chris Packett and Featherdoms. I don't know where you went with that.
That was Beatty Boy 81 on YouTube said Mignolet is about as safe as sex without a condom. But most of the comments on YouTube were Mignolet man of the match. Because basically, and I agree with this, I didn't give me man of the match. I think he looked pretty weak again with the ball at his feet.
Man of the match, you gave it to Henderson.
No, I said I didn't.
Oh, I thought you said you didn't give me man of the match.
I didn't give him man of the match.
Right, so.
I think when he's got the ball at the feet, he still looks nervous. When the ball's in the air and it's windy like it was yesterday, he makes me fucking nervous. There's going to be a brown stain on my seat definitely at the end of this year if people lob balls in. But I don't think there's a better shot stopper in the league. And there's probably 4 times yesterday where he kept us in it. And you can that one where he tipped it onto the bar from Schneiderlin was world class.
Yeah, that's
much the same as last season.
Yesterday's performance epitomised Mignolet to me, because there was one incident in the first half where he was flapping at all kinds, wasn't he? When the ball came into the box, he was all over the place. Did get the free kick, of course, but he was still all over the place. But then he made that great save late on half-time from Schneiderlin, and then the one at the end from Schneiderlin as well, where he tipped it onto the bar. But that just epitomises him, because he's terrible with the ball at his feet as well. And this is the big criticism you've got. You know, there's the 3 components of him is, he's a great shot stopper, but he doesn't command his box enough, and he's poor with the ball at his feet, which is what a Liverpool goalkeeper really is, what we need in the way we play. So it's mad, because Pepe Reina was probably more suited, but obviously it's well documented he fell out with Rodgers. But ultimately, I think you've got to give him a little bit more time, because he's still only young, isn't he? Mignolet, he's 26. And if Liverpool are going to go into the market for him with the goalkeeper, then it's got to be a proper goalkeeper who's going to put pressure on him. Not someone who's like, you know, the way Brad Jones is just a
Cavalieri kind of come in to fucking make the numbers up.
There's an interesting one on this, because it was Shay Given came out last week in the news, and he was talking about being backup goalkeepers, and he said he completely disagrees with the philosophy that you need someone to challenge a goalkeeper. He said a goalkeeper plays better when he's unchallenged, and he's calm and he's composed and he knows he's going to be first team. I don't know. I actually disagree with the point, but it was interesting to see a top professional come out and say that. You know, and you can, if you look into it, say, all right, yeah, he's calmer and stuff like that, and he's not worried. That probably is a good thing for a goalkeeper.
Is he retired? Is he still playing? Because if he's still playing, he's done himself out of an awful lot of jobs.
Yeah. Don't give me a job.
The big question is Mignolet good enough though?
Yeah, personally I think he is, and I think that
He's saved us an awful lot more points than he's cost us.
Absolutely.
He won us the first
Yeah.
2 points last season, he's won us the first 2 points this season.
Yeah, and I think a whole host, again, and people go on about it, but like, again, it didn't matter ultimately, but we'd have lost to Crystal Palace if Mignolet wasn't playing. It wasn't for Mignolet's shot stopping in that game, and imagine how much more devastating it all would have been off the back. You know, it would have been campaign over if we'd lost by then. But the thing for me, sorry Chris, is that if Liverpool can get a solid back four in place and we can become solid defensively, I think that Mignolet's weaknesses in dominating his area will come to the forefront more, because at the minute we still concede lots of shots, so you need a brilliant shot stopper, and I think that's vital. And this is where Pepe Reina fell down. So the second our defence crumbled, Pepe Reina looked shit all of a sudden, because you needed someone, when you got those chances, you needed someone to stop them. Whereas when you're a top quality team, you just need a goalkeeper who does all the bits and pieces really well. So you need somebody who's got the distribution, because it adds to your total team, you know what I mean? Whereas I think until you get that, you need to have a shot stopper, and I think if we become a solid defensive unit, we'll find out whether Mignolet is good enough or not. But I think for where we are right now, as you say, Mignolet, I think any criticisms of Mignolet I can understand, that he's not brilliant. I don't think he's shit at anything, because you're looking at the best goalkeepers in the league, everyone struggles with crosses. There's not one 100% commanding goalkeeper in the Premier League, and if you say there is, you don't watch enough goalkeeping. Like, there's not in world football, I can't think of many goalkeepers with a complete package. Manuel Neuer is the only one who comes to me. There's probably one or two more, maybe Courtois. We'll see how we handle the Premier League. But again, Czech, it's been 5-6 years since he had his head, and he's not been the same. That's not the Petr Cech that was prior to the injury. Not the same goalkeeper, nowhere near his commanding of his box. Definitely has had a fear factor ever since, and rightly so. He got his head caved in. I probably wouldn't want to put myself in as many 50-50 situations, but Mignolet for me is good enough for now. And if we need something else, then we'll just buy something else.
Just going on to Mignolet as well, and I was the one who said it about his passing and stuff, and I'm nervous about it, but yesterday his passing wasn't bad. It's just like this nervousness that still exists, because last season he was pretty poor. He actually is, I think, a bit more comfortable than last year.
Every time he gets the ball, people go, "Oh my God!" It's like, fucking shut up and chill out. Like, you know what I mean? It's fine. It's fine. It's like, why do people panic when we pass the ball back? I think that puts more pressure on. Well, you know what I mean? It's like we play the ball through the fucking goalkeeper, but that's how we play football. I understand that it gets a bit fucking edgy sometimes, but that's like, it was like one where he lets it run across his body, and the guy comes close, but he fucking gets to the field and he's going, "Oh Jesus, when it's like, what do you want him to do? Do you want him to fucking swing at it when it's not in his reach? He's not set, because if he does that, he's going to kick it 5 yards, and give them an open fucking goal. People just need to calm the fuck down." Anyway, poor Rachel there on my goalkeepers union fucking soapbox as ever. Right, we're gonna wrap that up there. 3 points. Yes.
Take it all, say.
Couldn't have done better.
There we go. Although it did give us all heart attacks. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up there. Hope you enjoyed Redmen Freeview week so far. We've still got Red's transfer round to come up. That's going to be coming out on Wednesday. We're going to be looking at all the Liverpool transfer news, rumours and debates, positions that we need to strengthen, our players good enough, etc, etc, etc. And we're going to wrap up the week with the Friday football show, looking at the wider world of the Barclays Premier League and probably some other bits if they're interested. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, and good night.